If you've been following my channel up until now, you might be wondering just what the fuck I'm doing. That thumbnail is looking mighty sus. Remember that one time I told you I was gonna talk about horror games? No, that's because I complained about people who play them. Or like at least the shitty 5-minute Unity ones that you made on your dad's laptop while he was at work. Anyways, I'm gonna be doing this one a little differently. Instead of just focusing on one game, I'm gonna do something insane and talk about 2 games. And attempt to talk about this whole topic in general. I'm actually very excited for modern horror games. I know it's funny and cute to hate on horror games because they're not scary or that they're overdone and these people are just the best at parties. First, let me talk about my now favorite horror games ever. Let's start with Five Nights at Freddy's. Oh, boo! Oh, boo! Boo! Well, I like it! In fact, I fucking love this series. I'm gonna focus on the first one as it's my favorite and, in my opinion, the most well executed. This game is fucking awesome, and I'm about to fucking lay down some hard facts and oh my god, I cannot wait to tell you how wrong you are about this game. To be honest, I was honestly a little afraid to talk about this game and the next because they're relatively new and already actively talked about, and I was straying from talking about this for obvious reasons. Remember that whole thing I said about the state of YouTube and shit? But I just fucking can't hold it in, dude. I need to talk about these games. I need to talk about how important they are and how some people should take a hint. Now, I don't have to explain Five Nights in great detail, do I? I mean, everyone knows what it is and what it consists of. Except that this is going to be important. Five Nights has an incredibly simple formula. You're a security guard working the night shift at not Chuck E. Cheese, and your job is to survive the haunted animatronics inside the pizzeria. Or is it a diner? Well, there's pizza. You sit inside your room and immediately realize that, oh shit, you can't move outside the room. Aside from that, we have doors on either side, each with their own light switch, and a button to slam that shit shut! Our main device is the tablet, though. The tablet will have a switchable feed of all the cameras in the restaurant. Oh, look, honey! It's all your greatest fears completely realized! At first glance, the game doesn't really seem like much, but this strangely simple formula is actually one of the most genius things I've ever fucking encountered. A game like this is super simple to pick up and get the gist of, and the atmosphere is sublime. It hits you the very moment you see an animatronic missing. Oh god. All of a sudden the fear and tension sets in as the idea that the animatronics can move becomes a startling, grotesque reality. It doesn't help that Scott Cawthon, the genius behind these games, designed the animatronics to be a fever nightmare of exactly what I would never hope to see ever in real life. Lovable, but terrifying. Now let's not panic, everything's fine, right? I could just close the doors, right? Well, fuck you again because you have a set amount of power that slowly drains throughout the night. And anything will drain this power. The lights, the cameras, and most importantly, closing the doors. All of a sudden that fear and tension has amplified and now I can feel my heart in my ass. That's fucking brilliant. The game plays and looks like a 90s point and click and it still has the power to invoke a deep sense of real primal fear in 2015. I've never been so appreciative to be in the worst position ever. So, spoiler alert, if the animatronics get you, they fucking get you.
Yes, Tom, that is correct. My penis has in fact receded back into my pelvis, and I don't think we'll be seeing it for quite a while.
So I hear pretty often from everyone the exact same thing from everyone fucking ever, and that's that jump scares are cheap, and that they're predictable, and that they're unfair, and you're right. I agree. Except that not all jump scares are the same. I do believe that jump scares can be done correctly, and this game nailed it. You see, in any given lazy horror game or movie, you'll encounter jump scares no matter what, and that's shitty. Something like that does not promote progression, and in fact, I think it punishes the player for doing really nothing wrong. However, Five Nights implements jump scares almost opposite of this, the right way, See, the player knows they're coming, but the game gives you the tools to prevent it from ever happening and is simply used as a game over. If you get jump scared, then it's your fault for not managing your power and tools correctly. Not only that, but by the time you get a jump scare, the game has already proven to me that it doesn't really rely on those solely to be scary. It's scary all on its own. The amount of fucking stress you go through in this game is enough to be terrifying. And plus, I mean, it's fun. Yeah, I'm gonna walk out on the plank here and say that it's fun with this game to get jump scared. Maybe not exactly in the moment, but the game feels good enough that it's nice to look in retrospect and say, hey, that was pretty neat, I think I'll go play again. Maybe this time I won't shit my whole ass. In a way, it's super arcadey and campy. At the same time, it's what I would like to call subtle. You can argue this all you want, but I've made my point here and I've stuck to my guns. It's subtle in the sense that it shouldn't technically be scary given the odds stacked against it, as well as the simplicity, but when it comes down to it, it's terrorizing to the soul no matter how much you try to trivialize it. That's the key here. Subtlety, build-up, tension, the unknown. As someone who suffers from anxiety, I can tell you that it's the most important factors. This shit isn't very subtle, it's just stupid and broken and quick, but this game is trumped, only if by a little, by a game even more subtle, frightening, and monolithic. PT. You know that feeling when you're in your hallway and you turn the lights off and you're almost 20 years old, but you still walk a little faster or jog away from the dark because you can feel a hand just about to touch the back of your neck? This game is the digital embodiment of that feeling, and it is fucking good. Do you understand how insane that is? Many games have tried and failed, and many careers have ended in an attempt to even come close to what PT accomplishes without even fucking trying. From the brilliant and most wonderfully psychotic minds of Hideo Kojima and Guillermo del Toro comes a teaser for Silent Hills. Yeah, PT stands for Playable Teaser. There's gonna be a whole game for this, and you can bet that I'm gonna be standing in line at release. I should explain. What is PT? Psychological horror is even too stiff a term to describe this literal masterpiece. Oh no. Now that was just me walking through what we'll call one loop. The first of many. In fact, this game literally takes place in nothing but a hallway and foyer. Once again, the controls are simple. We walk with the left stick and we can zoom with R3. You might also want to try using X once in a while. Did you feel anything as we walked through, by the way? It's a standard section of a house, right? But I think you know what I'm talking about. It's simply indescribable. Actually, I'm wrong. That's called absolute fucking dread. That is how horror should be done. Games are an especially easy medium to fuck up horror in, so developers need to get creative. We need to get clever. It's one thing to know we're not alone, but to feel alone and suspect that you aren't is something that isn't come by very often. As we move through the loops, the terror increases. We come to realize that on top of walking and being scared absolutely shitless, we also have puzzles to watch out for. We have cues to pick up on. PT was crafted with a perfect mindset. The internet. Kojima and Del Toro know damn well that horror game secrets are easily ruined with the advent of a single fucking Google search, so once again, they had to get creative. The puzzles needed to advance are cleverly simple, yet all around just fucking dastardly. Sometimes puzzles take a minute or two, and sometimes they sit right in front of you. The game itself is designed to be seemingly self-aware. There's one way in and one way out. So you're gonna have to keep moving forward if you want to advance, right? This leads to one of my favorite moments in a game of all time. Seriously. Goodness fucking gracious me, oh my. Remember all your greatest fears ever? This is its incarnate. The most fucked up, dirty thing about this is the idea that you have to keep going. They don't give a shit about your fears. Fuck your fears. Go forward, asshole. This is a fetus. And that's what true fear is. So far, nothing has technically happened to the player in-game or out, but the emotional reaction is certainly something to behold. I want to play games like this. I vividly remember the loop where the entire house is dark except for your flashlight, and as you walk down the hall, you hear a third step, and then... I had begun to sweat and panic so much that I truly, genuinely had to turn off the game just so I could calm down. This, of course, was even without actually turning around during that loop. What the game does so right is exactly what horror games should be focusing on doing. Being fucking unexpected. We've all played a game or watched a movie and magically predicted the next scene thanks to the breathtaking writing that totally doesn't give away what happens next. In this game, though, this game was basically designed to not only mock that, but spit in its face and stiff-arm them in the hallway. While the game has some very standout moments that strike pure fear in the heart, each loop will have you finding yourself wondering just what the fuck they're gonna do to me next. Let me reiterate, Kojima and Del Toro placed this entire game in a hallway, as a teaser. It's as if to make an example of us all by showing us how many ways they can twist the same space. As if to say to us, there's not really any excuses anymore. And how mind-blowing that they realized that one of the scariest places you've ever been in was your own house. Both literally and metaphorically. In addition to the aforementioned hallway jog, PT paints a much less supernatural picture of a broken home, with hints everywhere. An aborted fetus displayed in the sink, a phantom with an eye missing, an alcoholic who kills his family. Maybe that's why Five Nights is such a perfect concept as well. Maybe we always wished that our teddy bears were real, and maybe we always suspected that those animatronics would walk around at night when we left. Maybe they kept the animatronics so far away from the children for a reason. While I've mainly steered from horror games in the past, I am a giant horror fan in general. When it comes to movies, I'm definitely more of a slasher, gore, campy kind of guy. Watching older horror and thriller movies is definitely one of my favorite pastimes, and I can always enjoy a really good, well-written suspense. Some of my favorites include Evil Dead, both the original and the spectacular remake, the original Halloween, and Let the Right One In. My favorite is ultimately Child's Play. That shit fucked me up as a kid so bad that it wrapped around and became my obsession as an adult. I say all this just to explain where I'm coming from regarding this genre, and to say that there is definitely a way to do campy fun horror and serious suspenseful horror. I've seen both done, and I hadn't really been enticed for the genre in interactive media until recently, where I found games that not only created entirely new, interesting experiences and feelings of fear, but also captured the same feelings I had for those movies. The same feelings of ambiance, dread, and immersion. This being said, let's say horror comes from the key concept of a person's deepest fears. So, if I had to sum up what I think is really the most dreadful feeling one could experience, paranoia. More and more developers seem to be realizing this as the fuel behind some of our worst nightmares. Something not being the same place as it was before. Our inner need to strive for consistency and knowledge of our surroundings, or rather the stark realization that what we thought we knew was simply wrong, and that something far more sinister than we could have ever imagined still lurks. Something or someone that knows stuff we don't. Footsteps. There was a time I was afraid of this, but PT and Five Nights did something else to me, sort of a reverse reaction that drew me in. The sheer mystery and ambiguity completely enraptured me. These games mainly didn't ask for attention. There weren't loud trailers, merely teasers that made us turn our heads and say, wait, what? The bottom line here is that it's 2015. As a society, we're used to the smoke and mirrors that we were once frightened of. What we need now are games that are going to go into the deepest trenches of our mind. Games that will rip out those thoughts that we place at the back of our heads and hand it to us on a silver platter. But not before inching closer and closer and closer.